What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and welcome to another episode of our First Down Training show. Today, I'm going to be talking about my relationship with God and how I relate that relationship to football. So I hope this can give you guys maybe just like some different perspective on things and just some different insights on why I feel God is a huge part of what we do as football players and as coaches. Then we're going to get into some current events. We're going to be talking about how Quinn Ewers turned down $8 million of an NIL deal to come back to college, and then we're going to be answering some of your guys' questions that you left on a previous video. So I hope it's able to give you guys some value. You can learn a few things. Let's get started. Now, personally, guys, I'm not the biggest fan of when different creators, different content creators use God to kind of get clicks and views. I just feel like it's a little bit disrespectful, but I wanted to share this insight to you guys because I feel like maybe it could help a few of you that might be going through some stuff, struggling with some stuff, because I know whenever I'm going through a lot of things, like personally, whether it's, struggles with relationships, struggles with things in my personal life, struggling with things with work, struggling with things when I was a player with football, maybe feeling like I was a little bit disrespected. I felt like maybe I was putting in a ton of work and not getting rewarded for it. I know God was always the thing that I kind of went back to and that helped me get through those tough times. So this is kind of something I just wanted to share with you just to hopefully change your perspective and help you guys through anything that you might be going through. So me personally, I grew up in the Catholic Church. I wouldn't consider myself a Catholic now. I would consider myself a Christian now. I kind of like switched over, if you will, but I was baptized, First Holy Communion, reconciliation. I was not confirmed, but grew up going to Catholic school, and I was very, very lucky to go to Catholic school because I felt like having that good foundation of God at an early age, even though I feel nowadays it was not the correct teachings, I still felt having a good foundation of God is something that a lot of younger athletes need, and younger athletes need to hear. But I think the biggest thing that I can relate God to football with is that you feel a certain way for a reason. And I think we were all obviously made by God. We were obviously all made by the Creator. And me personally, like I was always a very, very driven, very competitive person and always had big goals as a player. Like much like a lot of you watching this, I was, 11, 12 years old and I'm like, I want to play in the NFL. I want to play in the NFL. I want to play college football. I want to do this. And it was always centered around sports. That was kind of always the driving force that I had. And I think you hear a lot of external voices as an athlete, right? Like you're crazy. You're not going to go to the NFL, like you're not going to do this, you're not going to play college football, and it's just constantly people telling you what you can and can't do. And I think that a lot of people listen to those voices, to be 100% honest with you. I think a lot of you athletes hear, even from parents, even from close relatives telling you like, hey, listen, you're not going to go to the NFL, you need to focus on this, you need to do that, you need to do that. But if you have this feeling like just deep in your gut, just deep in your stomach, that this is what I want to do, and I would rather like die than do anything else, you need to go for that feeling because I feel that that feeling is God. I think a lot of times, like this is just my personal opinion, I feel like society puts all these kinds of labels on people, like, oh, he's hyper competitive, he's got ADHD, he's got OCD, and they put all these things on you, but you got to understand that you were made by God. Like you were made individually by God, by the Creator. You're supposed to feel the way that you are feeling. Not to say that some people don't have, maybe certain issues genetically wrong with them, disorders, whatever. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about. I'm just saying from my experience, I know that whenever I've had a feeling just in my gut that I need to do something, that I want to do something, I always related that to religion. I always related that's the way God wants me to feel, and that's how I'm supposed to feel in this situation. And that has always led me out of those kind of like darker places where you're having to battle some adversity, and that has always led me to success, whether that's in relationships, whether that's with my family, or whether that's what I do right now with this brand and with the business that I have. So I'm going to tell you kind of a story of just like kind of my experience in football, a lot of the, maybe doubts that I had, a lot of the people telling me certain things that I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that, and just really ignoring the noise and how that led me to be in this situation that I'm at right now. So from the time I like junior in high school, sophomore in high school, my goal was like, I don't want my parents to have to pay for college. I do not want them to have to pay for college. That was my driving force because when I was younger, our family had a decent amount of money. Like my mother owned a business and my dad worked for like the city. So we had two incomes and we were doing okay, right? And then my mother lost her store in a fire and she did not get a big insurance payout. It was deemed something happened with the insurance company. I don't remember, but I was really young. And I remember seeing our family struggle for a little bit and, seeing even at a young age and seeing both of my parents just, have to cut back on a lot of things, struggle, wonder if they were going to end up making it. What if something happens? What if my dad gets fired and then we have nothing having like, and they have 2 kids, me and my brother. So it's just one of those things where you see a lot of that as a child, and that really leaves kind of like a lasting impact on you, right? But you could take it as a negative or you could take it as a positive. And I think that's honestly where I got my work ethic from. And so seeing that happen at a young age and seeing what my parents had to go through, my mom having to go from owning her own business, doing her own thing, to having to work for somebody, that was really hard for her. And then having to go through this long lawsuit. And so like my goal was always, I don't want my parents to have to pay for college, right? And so for me personally, I was like, okay, I'm going to do whatever possible. I was obsessed with it. Like that was the only thing that was on my mind. That was the only thing that I did. I didn't go out and do, I did some fun stuff with friends. Like I wasn't like a total recluse or nothing like that. But I was just obsessed with it. Every day, that's all I could think about. All I could think about. All I wanted to do. All I wanted to do was train. All I wanted to do was watch film. All I wanted to do was work, because that was my end goal. And that was something that I felt just deep in my gut. That's just what I wanted to go for, right? And the only thing I can relate that to is God. I don't think I'm in the position where I am right now without God, and we'll get to that obviously. But so I battled a ton of adversity. I remember when I was in high school, I transferred to this school, and I was competing for the quarterback job, and I was starting. Going into my junior year, I was starting, and then the athletic director's son comes in and he wants to play quarterback, and the athletic director hired a new coach, and they were like this, best friends. And as soon as that kid got to practice, it's like they totally forgot about me. Like I was second string, no questions, didn't even compete, didn't even battle it out. And that hurt, man. That really hurt, and it really pissed me off. I was pissed off at the world. I was super upset. And here I was putting in all this work, going to the gym 6 times a week, throwing 4 to 5 times a week, doing different speed workouts 2-3 times a week, working my tail off, man. And that type of thing happens. And I have no control of the situation. And to this day, I have friends of mine who are coaches on the staff when that new coach came in. And to this day, they tell me, you should have played, man. He just came in. The coach's name was Ray. They're like, Ray came in and that was just the way it was. There was nothing we could do. And you know how Ray is. You can't tell him what to do, and you can't tell him that this isn't how it's going to be, or maybe we should do this, because he was a major control freak and kind of an a-hole, if you ask me. But anyways, man, that's not very godly to say that, right? And so anyways, it was tough, man. And there was a long, probably a few weeks where I thought about quitting. I was like, man, I'm done. What did I do all this work for? What did I put in all this time for? And that was probably one of the hardest things I ever went through as a football player. And just as a person, to be 100% honest with you. I'm sure that there are a lot of harder things that some people watching this have dealt with. I'm not trying to say that that's, like, oh my God, woe is me. Like, some of you have legitimate problems. Like, some of you have like real things that you're going through, whether it's a relative passed away, somebody passed away. Like there are real problems. This is just football. But at the same time, it taught me a lot about adversity. And when all the chips are stacked against you, I don't start my junior year. Everybody will tell you that if you don't get 2 years of high school football, you are not going to play college football. If you don't get 2 years, right? If you don't start 2 years, you're not going to play. If you only start your senior year, you're doomed. You might as well go to a junior college. That was what everybody around me was telling me. Grant, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? You're only going to play your senior year. What if they bring in another quarterback to start over you? You're undersized. And just all these things just coming on me. And I remember I really had to buckle down. And I was going to a public school at the time, and I did not have a relationship with God at the time. And I remember that was when I first started kind of getting back into just, praying consistently every night, putting my faith in something that, what, God, I feel this way for a reason. I know in my gut that I have to go for this, and I'm going to give it absolutely everything that I have, and I'm going to trust you that it's going to work out, because I know that I am made by you, and I feel this way for a certain reason. And I remember I worked and I worked and I worked that summer and that spring after my junior year where I didn't play. And then senior season comes around and I'm starting, and had a pretty good year, crushed it. We won the league. We had a good record. I think I threw for like 3,000 yards, rushed for close to 1,000, had like almost like 40 total touchdowns. Great senior year. And ended up landing a scholarship offer after that. But that's not where the journey ended for me, to be 100% honest with you, because after I got that scholarship, I had a real sense of like, okay, I did it. But it wasn't to a big school. It was to a smaller school called Whittier College, but it was free. And that was always my goal, was to not have my parents pay for college, right? And so after that happened, I kind of like went through kind of a little rut where I'm like, man, I've achieved this, but like, what's next? Like I didn't see myself going pro after that. That was just my goal, to make sure that my parents didn't have to pay for school. Like, what's next? What do I do next? And it was a little scary, to be 100% honest with you, because you're sitting there and you're just like, man, like I did all this work, and like, what Like, am I just going to go 4 years, get a degree, and then just go get a job and what? And I just was really feeling like that wasn't going to make me happy at the end of the day. That wasn't something that was going to make me happy. I wasn't going to feel fulfilled. And that wasn't like I wanted to do something bigger. I felt like I was capable of more, right? And I felt that way, again, for a reason. And so I remember walking into the gym at my old high school where I just got done finishing my senior year at. And I walk in and just lifting randomly. 3 coaches show up and they're like, hey, do you want a job coaching? I was like, yeah, sure. Like, why not? Like, I could do that and go play football and train still. And then, like, I got a gym that I could go to at the school. I'm still around football a ton. I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? And then as soon as I started coaching, fell in love with it, man. Like, fell in love with coaching, fell in love with working with athletes. Coaching in a school isn't necessarily my thing. But then I got this idea of, man, maybe I should start doing training. Maybe I should start like offering training for local kids. Maybe I should start training younger quarterbacks and younger wide receivers. Hey, maybe I should get on social media because I'm a younger guy. And so like maybe I get on social media, start posting content, and the rest is kind of history, you guys. Like ever since then, First Down Training has grown exponentially. First Down Training has grown to where we are the biggest football training brand. We travel all across the country. We work with thousands of athletes, but I would not be here. It's not me. I'm not the reason that I'm here. God is the reason that I'm here, and God is the reason that I've been able to have this type of impact on players, and God is the reason why so many players resonate well with our stuff, and so many players watch our stuff and get value from our stuff, and I don't take that lightly. But like a guy like me is not supposed to be in this situation. There are so many trainers across the country that post on social media, that do certain things, that, have a much more credible record than I have. Like I got a scholarship to a D3 school, and I coached 1 year of high school ball, but how somehow I ended up training thousands and thousands and thousands of athletes. And it's not because I'm so special, it's because God has blessed me immensely. And you look at all these other guys that have these big backgrounds, that they have, the Division I, they play quarterback here, they play quarterback there, receiver there, receiver there, receiver there, but they don't have the reach that we have. They don't have the success that we have. Why is that? And I truly feel, guys, it's because I doubled down on that feeling that I had in my gut, and I didn't listen to the people around me. So if you're going through something right now, where people are counting you out, relatives are saying that you shouldn't do certain things, you're feeling the adversity, you're feeling the pressure, you're kind of down, maybe you're a little bit depressed, I highly, highly recommend get in some type of church. Watch some type of, like I to this day, every day will watch, just about every day, I'll watch like a sermon from like Pastor Joel Osteen, who's out of Houston, and I'll watch him. And that's kind of like my going to church, because I'm so busy. Like I said, I work 7 days a week, so I don't necessarily have time to go to church on Sundays, because that's when I train athletes and that's when we have our camps. And I'll be watching his show every day, 30 to 40 minutes, just listening to scripture, listening to the Bible, reading the Bible when I can, praying every single day. And you need to figure out, like, why do I feel a certain way? Truly, truly, what do I feel God has in my purpose? And what I felt in my stomach was, I'm going to go play big time college football, and I'm going to do this, and I might go to the NFL, whatever. And that's what I truly wanted. It didn't work out that way, but I ended up in something that makes me so much more fulfilled, makes me so much happier. I'm excited every day to wake up and go to work and work with athletes and travel across the country. Some people say that to me all the time, like, well, like, doesn't the traveling get old? Nope. I love traveling. Like last weekend, we were in New Jersey, 3 hours ahead, different time zone. We flew back, then we fly back to Alabama next week, and then we go to Houston the week after that. Like, I love it. I love what I do. And I know that if I was playing college football and then just got a degree and got some like job that paid me, X amount of money, like I wouldn't be fulfilled. I wouldn't be happy. But it's because I went after that feeling that I had. It was because I went after that gut feeling of like, man, this is how I feel. I feel this way for a reason. I feel this way because of God and because I've been made by God, and God will bless you. That's all I'm trying to tell you right now, you guys. So if your goal is to play in the NFL, if your goal is to play college football somewhere, go attack that goal. Because I truly feel if you leave nothing on the table, you give it everything that you have, God will put you in the right spot somehow. Maybe you don't achieve the goal of going to the NFL, because it's a huge goal. But maybe you end up meeting somebody along that process. Maybe you learn something about yourself along that process that will pivot you into meeting like somebody that you're going to marry. Maybe it'll pivot you into some career path that's going to help you be successful and build a better life for your family. Maybe you'll meet somebody that'll have you meet somebody. God works in extremely mysterious ways, and our path is already written by Him, and our path is already mapped out by Him. So you need to understand, guys, to go after that feeling. You feel that way for a reason. God put that on your heart for a reason. So I hope this hit home with a lot of you guys. I hope this kind of story made sense to you, and I hope it kind of made sense what I was trying to get across here. I'm not trying to use, again, God for clicks or for views, but I do want you guys to understand that You're feeling things for a reason. You're made by God for a reason, and God has your back, okay? So that's all I'm going to say about that, guys. So we're going to get into some current events, and then we're going to be talking about some questions that you guys left on previous episodes. So current event number 1 is Quinn Ewers, 2025 turned down NIL deal of $8 million, 2025 NFL salary $800,000. So that's rough, man. And he got drafted by Miami Dolphins. That's something that we're going to see a lot more commonly now, to be 100% honest with you, is that these athletes can stay in college, make more money, and then go to the draft otherwise. I honestly, though, like me personally, like I think if, you know, I feel like at that level of money, because like Quinn Ewers is probably one of the highest NIL earners like last year, and you know, he probably made like a couple $1,000,000, you know, like $2, maybe $3 million. And then like, so I feel like he's probably at that point where he doesn't necessarily care about money. He cares about being great, and he cares about being a great quarterback. So I feel like he was probably in that situation where like, listen, I got enough money to where I'm set. I don't know if he's married or has a family, probably not, because he's a young guy. But like, he's probably in that position where it's like, hey, listen, I feel comfortable. I'm not doing this for money. I'm trying to be the best quarterback I could possibly be, so I'm going to go into the NFL and challenge my skills and elevate my game. So I think that's actually pretty admirable that he would turn that down to go play in the NFL, play at the highest level possible. So I'm excited to see what he does. I wonder, will he be Tua's backup? Tua's very injury prone, so you know, Quinn Ewers could get some time. I don't think he would be. I think he would probably be like a third string guy. But anyways, I kind of like that move, but that's something that we're going to see pop up a lot more often, especially Shedeur Sanders, we talked about in the episode yesterday. Shedeur, man, like if he would have stayed in college, he probably would have made a lot more money than what he's making now. Same with a lot of guys that were drafted late. So that's something that we're going to see more often nowadays, you guys. All right, next current event. Saquon Barkley tweets, "Hello, some people are really upset because I played in golf and flew to the White House with the president. Maybe I just respect the office, not a hard concept to understand. Just golfed with Obama not too long ago and look forward to finishing my round with Trump. Now you get out of my mentions with all this politics and have an amazing day." I love it. Freaking love it, man. I think people need to understand that, like, it's just, like, who cares? Like, honestly, who cares? He's an American. He's a grown man. He could golf with whoever he wants to golf with. Like, who cares? Like, everybody like, oh, he's golfing with Trump. That means he loves Trump. That means it's like, no, it doesn't. Like, he's the president of the United States. Like, and he could golf with whoever he freaking wants to. I have tons of friends, guys, that don't think politically like how I think. We just don't talk about politics. We're just friends. So maybe Donald Trump is actually, you know, like, hey, he's probably a pretty good dude. Besides, like, you got to understand that, like, the whole political scene and, like, all these politicians, like, they're putting a show. They're putting on a show. How many times have you watched a politician and you're like, I don't even know what the hell that guy just said. No way he acts like that behind closed doors, because he doesn't. He's putting on a show. He's acting. It's like an actor. Like, you hate an actor in a movie, like he plays a bad guy, and you're like, God, I hate that guy. But you meet him outside of it, you're like, oh, wow, he's actually a pretty good guy. That's generally what it is in politics, in my opinion. So I would just say, like, who cares? Saquon Barkley could golf with whoever he wants. And what I'm challenging you young people to do is don't judge people on their political views and their political beliefs. Judge them on who they are as a person. And you might make the argument, what, if they support this person political, that means they support those views and I don't agree with that. Fine, that's your prerogative. You have every right to do that, but don't judge people on that. Judge people by how they treat you, how they act to their family, how they act to their kids, how they act to other people around them. Judge people on how they treat people who can do absolutely nothing for them. That's how I judge character. Like, I've been with people, like for example, I'll give you an example, like I've been on like dates before with girls, right? How do they treat the waiter? How do they treat the person at the desk of the restaurant? How do they treat people at like a store, right? People who can't do anything for them, right? They're just working there, they're just checking out, they're taking their order. Are they respectful? Or are they rude? Are they entitled? I judge people based off of that. So that's how you should judge people, not who they voted for, guys. And now, like, again, maybe that's a decision that factors in, you know, whatever, fine, feel free. But I would say judge people on their character, not their political beliefs. I don't get the outrage for Saquon golfing with Trump. Just don't understand it. But that's just me. That's me personally. All right, you guys, we're going to get into some of your questions now. So, question number 1. And fellas, if you guys have questions that you want to ask me, post them in the comment section below. I read and respond to every single comment, and I will feature your guys' comments on another episode of this show. So guys, we appreciate all the support. We appreciate you guys watching, seriously. So guys, post your questions in the comment section below. Happy to answer all those, okay? So now, let's talk about question number 1 from Mason33310. Hey man, love the videos. I was just wondering, how much should I weigh going into freshman year? I'm going for safety position, also 5'10". Thank you for adding the height. So I would say if you're a freshman football player, how much you should weigh. Quarterbacks, I would say probably like 160 160 to 165. Running backs, probably like 165 to 170. Wide receivers, DBs, probably like 145, 155. That falls into the safety category as well. Safeties are probably like 165 pounds. Tight ends, I'd probably say like 175, 180, maybe 185. And then offensive linemen, defensive linemen should probably be in the 200s. If you're a freshman, this is for freshman football and generally the averages, okay? So I appreciate you asking that, man. Now, next question from Little Dino1. Right now, I'm a 5'2" quarterback that weighs 95 pounds. I'm about to go to a big public high school with a lot of big players. So right now, I don't feel very confident. I don't have a strong arm. The only thing I really have is my speed. In your next video, when you answer questions, could you tell me how I could get motivated? Because sometimes I wonder if I should be playing football at my size. So yeah, dude, motivation, honestly, to be honest with you, I think motivation is one of those terms that's overused. I think motivation is fake. I think discipline and dedication is what you should be focused on. So I think every day you just need to set goals for yourself and hit those goals each day and just start stacking days. Because like motivation will come and go. Like you could watch a David Goggins video and be really fired up, and then tomorrow you forget all about the video. You know what I'm saying? So like motivation will come and go. You need to make a schedule for yourself, bro, and just be like, okay, I have 3 things I want to do today. I'm going to throw today. I'm going to study, and then I'm going to read defenses. Okay, I threw, bam, check it off. Okay, I'm going to study, bam, check it off. Work on some read defensive stuff. I'm going to watch film, bam, check it off. And when you do that and you start stacking days, that builds confidence. You're like, okay, I'm getting better. I'm in my flow. You know what I mean? So that's what I would say to help with like motivation, if you will, and just staying more dedicated. It's about discipline and being dedicated and day after day chipping away at a goal that you have, which is obviously playing high school ball. So I hope that helps, man. Thank you for asking that. Now, next question from Dhruv Patel, B51 or L. Coach, if I work out 6 times a week and rest just one day, is it good, or should I change it? So this question I get asked a lot. When it comes to rest days and it comes to a workout schedule, what I would say is that it depends on the output. So if you're working out 6 days a week, and let's say you're just like crushing yourself, hour-and-a-half sessions, nonstop work, that's probably too much. Let's say you're working out 6 days a week and you're doing like 45-minute sessions and you're getting after it, it's a good workout, you could probably withstand that. The most important thing though, guys, is sleep. You need to get sleep and you need to allow your body to recover. So you need to get 8 hours of sleep. So if you're gonna work out 6 days a week, which I think is doable, and if you're gonna really get after it, you need to make sure you prioritize your recovery. So, you know, massage gun, ice baths, stretching, but also getting good sleep and having a good diet also will help with that as well. But you gotta make sure you take care of the things away from the gym to be able to work out 6 times a week. So I hope that helps, man. Appreciate you asking that. So guys, that's it for our episode today. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Hope this was able to help you. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate. Post them in the comment section below. I'd be happy to answer your guys' questions and get back to you on the next episode of this show. But I'll see you guys next time.